It's a nightmare! She goes with me to a blossom room. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the
All right. That was that was Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky. A little excerpt from that, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Hi, this is the Double Tribble channel. It's June 9th. Well, it's 2:30 a.m., so I guess it's technically June 10th. My name is Ron. I live in rural New Hampshire, surrounded by forests, wild animals. Pretty cool. This is kind of a test stream. I haven't streamed in a few weeks. It's not technically it's not a test stream, but it's essentially going to be a test stream because I don't know what I've lost my streaming legs here, so I got to get them back again. Make sure I'm doing everything right. So that's it's almost a test stream. Well, let me check and make sure my sync is here. Let me do. This is how I test my sync, right? I do that. Oh, that seems like it's off a little bit, doesn't it? Let's see here. Yeah, the sound is a little bit laggy there, so let's see if I can adjust that. Okay, audio, mic, sync offset. I don't know if that's not sure here. Let me adjust this a little bit down a little bit. All right, let's see if that's a little bit better. All right, you know what? That's close enough, I think. I think that's close enough. Yeah. It's just sometimes when you're watching a stream and and the audio gets out of sync and the person's talking and it's off just by a little bit, but it's enough that it's just kind of irritating, seeing that their mouth is not moving with the sound. So a lot of technical stuff going on. I noticed that a lot of people right now, a lot of streamers, we're just having all kinds of technical trouble with Twitch. And about I don't know, over a month ago now, Twitch made a change of some sort to their website, and it messed everything up. And it put a big on my browsers, on all my machines. It put a big question mark up there on the screen where the video should be, and it was it was just such a hassle trying to get that do the troubleshooting and that. Figuring I didn't know if it was my machine, and it had happened to me before. I don't know, 6 months ago. I don't know, a long time ago, 3 months ago. The same thing happened. Put a big question mark up on the screen where the video should be. And that time it was a clock problem. My network, the time on my network went way off, and I guess that confused the Twitch code or whatever on their website. But now this time it was Twitch's fault, I think. They made a change, and anyway, I'll get into that. But let me talk about this thing. Where is it here? Let me play this forward here a little bit so you can see it. Okay. So this is Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky. This, I just thought this was kind of cute. I kind of want to review Vanilla Sky, but it's so racially biased that I just don't want to do that. I don't want to support that or whatever, promote it. But this particular scene here was just had a lot of stuff in it, and it has to do with tech support, which is what I was trying to get tech support from Twitch. I called Twitch and sent them, filled out their form and did all this stuff, and trying to get tech support from Twitch. And I thought it was kind of funny. It's kind of a little tie in there to do this. So, but before I get into this tech stuff from Twitch anyway, and do that whole horror story with all their stuff, we'll do a quick breakdown on this scene from Vanilla Sky. Now this scene that I played here at the top of the stream here was actually my edited version of it. I put it in an editor, and I edited it down a little bit and did some stuff to it the way I would have liked to see it. But here I'll play the version that it was actually in the film. Let's get to this point here. I'll play the version that was actually in the film, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. And you see, and when I play it, I'm gonna so I've just played at the top of the stream here. I played my version of what I think the scene should look like, and then I'll play the scene that was actually in the film, and see if you can tell the difference between the two. So you just watched the other one, now you watch this one, see if you can tell the difference, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, get into the details and all that. So here we go.
I wanna wake up! Touch the point! Hey, bro! It's a nightmare! In her eyes, she goes with me to a blossom room.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the
Touch the point!
All right, so that was that was the full thing. You could probably tell a little bit of the differences that I did in it. So like, this is just a little bit of just a setup. I mean, this is a point in. I don't want to do any spoilers, obviously. Just this is a point in the movie where he's kind of confused. Okay, so that's all you need to really know about it. He's confused, and whatever. He's running through the hallway here, and I don't know. I'll just go through it chronologically here. Right? So he's running through the halls here. Oops. I gotta do something there. Do that. All right. So he's running through the hallway here. And, offset about something. Says he wants to wake up. I don't know. And so he passes these people here. Now look at this. We've got 3 people here. And he's being chased by a cop, right? So there are 3 people here. And he passes them. Now look at this person here. Looks like this is probably somebody presenting as a woman, I think, holding this thing here. And there are 3 people here. But look at what they look like after he goes by them here. Dude, whoops! What happened here? Where'd the woman go there? So this guy's wearing different clothes. I mean, it's just so that was kind of weird. They had a little continuity problem there. And this is all handheld, right? Handheld camera. You know, because it's when you're doing handheld stuff. I mean, when you want to have tension, right? They do, and it's overused, right? And it's a cheap way to do it, to get tension in a film. But I don't remember if it's overused in this film, but generally filmmakers overuse it. But it's a way to have tension, to create tension. In this one, there's tension and there's confusion. So okay, so the whole thing is handheld, I think, here, and then so then he gets to the elevator, and this is kind of this woman right here. I think all these people should have bit parts, I think, on this. Anytime a main character interacts with another actor in any way, they don't even have to talk to him or anything. Then that's called that's a bit part. They get extra pay for that. But there's like this woman here. See, he interacted with her. He touched her, and went in here, and she reacted. So that's a bit part, rather than like being an extra, right? An extra is just somebody. They call them background now. They call them background when there's somebody in the back of the scene walking by or something like that. Used to call them extras. Now they call them background. But that's one level of acting or whatever. And then there's this level. If they say any lines, if they say fewer than 5 lines, I think, or is it 6, 5 and under, 6 and under, whatever. Then that's a bit part. But they don't even have to say any lines. If they just interact with one of the main characters, then that's a bit part. So that lady gets a bit part. And so he gets in, and he does all his own stunts, or most of his own stunts. So I don't know if this is a stunt person or not. That might even be a stunt person for that scene, because he came pretty fast. I don't know. Anyway, he gets in there, right, and then the cop comes up. Oh, just misses him. It's not. He's pretty upset. The cop gets upset. I cut out this on my version of it. This guy, the cop, hammering on the thing. I'm gonna cut this out too. I'm coming through, walking out here. So, yeah, they did this. So they're trying to show tension here, right? They're trying to show disorientation. Now all these quick cuts here. Did you see that? Let me show that again. Let me back that up. So he comes in here. He comes into this other room, this other area or whatever.
She goes with me to a blossom room.
And then they just do a whole bunch of quick cuts. They're all really fast. And I cut that part out. I didn't think that was necessary. I thought it was disorienting enough. But that's how they wanted to, drive home the point that this was very confusing. Just a whole bunch of quick cuts like that, just to keep the audience on it, disoriented or whatever. And then there are also these mirrors, this whole wall of mirrors here. It looks like, and it's which is like a hall of mirrors, which is like an amusement park thing. That's very, very confusing for people. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And then they have this rotating truck. I don't know if there's an actual term for that. Where a truck is when you move the camera. When you're moving the camera relative to the subject, you can truck in, truck out, truck right, truck left, and this one is trucking all the way around, like a revolving or rotating truck. They might have a different name for it. Now this is another thing that I changed. They kept the music playing throughout this whole thing. On my cut of this thing, let's see here. Okay, this is going back. This is my version of it now. Oh, I guess I did leave those. Now you see what I did there? I cut the music out for a little bit as he was thinking or trying to, looking around or thinking or whatever. And then brought the music back up again when he yelled tech support again. I just thought that was a little more effective. I guess I did leave all those little cuts in there. I thought I cut those out. Anyway, all right, let's continue on here. Now watch this truck. This camera just goes almost all the way, almost 360. And then they push in. I faded out here on mine. Now there's the whatever lighting support and tech equipment or whatever is off to the right here. Over here somewhere. See if you back this up and do the full thing. So so off to the left here is where all the equipment or all the lighting or the the director or whatever is over here on the left. Here, I'm going to cut down the sound here for a little bit. So as they truck around here, see they do it looks like a 360, but it's not completely 360, and they stop right before they get there. So right off to the right there, is where I think is where they have all the equipment and stuff. I mean, they have to have some lighting, right, and stuff. So those that's technically that's really hard to do that kind of a scene where you have to do an almost a 360 rope, you know, where it rotates all the way around the subject 360. That's really hard to do because you got lighting, you get all this stuff, you know. Where does that stuff go when you do that, right? You either have to put it up above or you know, whatever. I guess now they can take it out with CG, right? They can just have the, you know, maybe there's a director standing right there, and they just wiped it out in post, right? I don't know. So okay. So anyway, I just thought that was just a really interesting scene in that movie. Just a lot of stuff that was going on in that thing. And so I thought I would. And I haven't done a movie review in a while, so just thought it'd be interesting to play with that, and it kind of tied in with the subject here of this getting, you know, Twitch tech support on their website and stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny too. So anyway, so that's that. All right, so back to this Twitch problem. What happened was, in fact, let me bring this up here. I might get a little sound here for a second. All right, I'm gonna bring this up here real quick. This is just a little clip. I just recorded a little bit of what this problem looked like to me on my computers when it was happening. And there it is right there. So this is just, I'm watching a stream, and this is where the video is supposed to be, right here, you know, on the stream. Here, I'll let it run a little bit.
Not mine, so not quite mine. I do like
There's loading the page there, which takes a long time on my computer.
have like variations of tricks, quite similar to the originals, but I mean.
And I can get the sound and everything, but the video is not loading up. So yeah, this happened about over a month ago that this happened. It happened on all my browsers. It didn't matter which. I had Firefox, Chrome, all of them. They all did this. Just put a little question mark up there. And the only way I could watch them was to from this point here, if I went up here and clicked one of these like browse or following or something like that, when you do that, it takes the regular video and shrinks it down into picture-in-picture. Let me see if I actually did that here.
Sometimes, once in a while. Yeah. Once
Right,
again,
so the audio works,
part,
right? You can hear the audio, but I'm gonna cut it off here. So let's see here. And yeah, and if you switch to another, like if I went to another stream, same thing. All right, all the streams were doing it. It wasn't like, you know. But then if I go from this point and I go to following or browse or something like that, why is this? This is kind of weird. There we go. You see, here's the video, here's the stream right there. I can see the video then. Right, I stopped the video now. So I was on the regular the streaming page. Then I went to my following page that shows my followers, you know, my whatever the following page is, and it shrinks down the video and puts it in the corner here, and then it shows up. Right, I don't get a question mark here. It actually shows the video, and that's how for couple weeks there, that's how I had to watch Twitch, you know, was to Yeah, it was like that for a couple weeks. That's how I had to watch my Twitch streams. Was I had to go to the streamers page, get a big question mark, and then click on following, and then I would get this little teeny picture of the stream, and that's how I had to watch it. And I was able to come on my browser. You know, there's a way you can zoom in on your browser, and I was able to enlarge this a little bit. And sometimes there was a little click here, a little thing I could click that would actually makes this screen a little bit bigger natively, but from whatever the website code was. But anyway, it was a big hassle, huge hassle. So that whole thing, and I didn't know what it was. I thought, you know, it had happened before when the time on my network was out. So that's the first thing I checked, right? I checked to see if my clocks were off on my computers. That was okay. That wasn't the problem. And I thought, okay, well, maybe there's some, you know, because it was happening on two different brands of browsers, two different versions, you know, two different computers, you know. In fact, I tried it on a third one. I tried it on a CD. You know, I thought, okay, maybe there's something screwed up on my computers, my OS, whatever. So I booted up on a computer that had no drives, on a CD drive. I booted up an OS on a CD and ran the browser from that, and that messed up. And I said, okay, God, there's something on my ISP that's screwed up. You know, because the video is, I assume, is sent through some, you know, through a different, you know, means, a different network, and they've got to distribute it and all, you know, all that kind of stuff. Cloudflare or whoever, you know, well, Amazon, I guess, right? Amazon's services or whatever to get, you know, to stream it closer to where the clients are. So, so I thought, okay, maybe there's something in the network. Maybe my ISP's DNS got hacked, or maybe there's something like that. So I checked that. I used a different DNS server. That didn't work. So I tried all this different stuff, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I finally found this mention on Reddit. On Reddit, they said somebody had posted it and said, "Oh yeah, Twitch made a change to their website. They started using the CSS tag called has. It's a pseudo selector, a CSS pseudo selector, whatever that is. I don't know. I know what CSS is, but I don't know what has is. I don't even really know what a selector is, how that even works, really. I stopped doing website development a long time ago. In fact, when they switched from, this is really old. Okay, I did my first website in '95, so it's just a long time ago. And when they switched to adding the CSS, they said, "What are you doing that for?" You know, I mean, there's a reason for it, right? But they just kept adding more stuff to it, which was completely unnecessary and just messing it up. Yeah, HTML, you know, the way that works. And so I stopped. I just said, "Fuck it, I'm not." You know, machines are going to be doing this anyway in the future, so I'm not going to bother learning this stuff. So I didn't, and so I don't know what all these little tags are and stuff. Anyway, but I did just do my own website, right? We did that, right? A couple streams ago, I made a website, doubletribble.com. Everybody go visit doubletribble.com. That's where I'm putting my videos and my VODs up there now. Or you can watch them on YouTube if you want. If you want to help the billionaires, go ahead and do it that way. Okay, let's see, back to what we're talking about here. So I couldn't figure out why they put this big question mark up there instead of the video. Why was it doing that? Why was it? And I found this little thing on Reddit, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, they're using this has selector. The CSS has pseudos. It's not even it's a pseudo selector. So I don't know what it does. Anyway, it's a new feature, a new tag or new thing, whatever, because they keep adding more tags and features and stuff to HTML and CSS. And they added this feature at some point, 6 months ago or a year ago, whatever, they added it. And it's and some of the browsers, the browser, when they add a new thing like that, the browsers add them at different times. Not all the browsers add them at the same time, and they add them with different versions, and it rolls out. But anyway, apparently Twitch thought that there were enough browsers out there that supported that they made their website use that particular feature. But it broke. If your browser doesn't have that feature, then it broke. Twitch broke, and you got the big question mark. So if you see that, if you're getting this big question mark where the video should be on Twitch, that may be what it is. That's probably what it is. And on my Firefox version, the Reddit thread there, somebody said, "Oh yeah, you can fix that if you've got a new enough Firefox. You can go into About Config, which is a way to get into the inners of Firefox and change a parameter in there to enable that has selector feature," which I did. And I wasn't sure. I had tried it. I was kind of desperate at that point. Normally I don't just, if somebody types something in a thread somewhere and says, "Oh yeah, type in these magic words and it'll fix your computer." Normally I don't. I say, "No, sorry, I'm not going to do that." But I was kind of desperate, and I did it this time. And it worked, and it fixed it. And I still was kind of hesitant. I thought, I don't know if that's, did I just open up my machine to being hacked by doing that? I don't know. So anyway, I did that, and it fixed it. And so that's I think that's what it was. And it just kind of bothered me that there was, that they did that. And maybe it was only a few percent of their users that experienced the problem, but the fact that they did it without warning and without, and apparently I don't know what kind of check. Normally when any website of any sophistication makes a change like that or does anything. They always check to see what browser their client is running on before they do stuff. And if they're very nice, they will just run their website within the features of the client's browser. They'll check. They'll say, "Okay, let's see what kind of browser this client is using." Okay, they're using this, say they're using Chrome and it's this version, whatever. We know that it doesn't have these features. It does have these features. Okay, we'll send them pages that only use the features that their browser can handle. And that's if they're really nice. If they're courteous, they will put up a little thing that says, "We're sorry, but your browser doesn't support our features. You got to update your browser to run our website." That's I don't know if that's courteous or not, but it's that. I mean, that at the minimum, that's what they do. But in this case, apparently they just said, "Okay, to hell with it." We're going to make this change. If it breaks the browsers, we don't care. We're not even going to inform people. We're not going to tell them. And so I ended up spending a whole bunch of my time trying to troubleshoot this thing, when Twitch could have just either sent out an email or done something, said, hey, we're updating our website. It might break for some of you guys, some of you users, just to let you know, or to do a user agent check at least, or whatever, to see if the browsers are not don't support it, and put up a little message or something, throw us a bone, something, please, Twitch. So anyway, I spent a whole bunch of time trying to troubleshoot that. And as I say, maybe it's only 5%, 10%, whatever of their users, but it wasn't nice to do that. So if you're having that problem, the way to fix it is to go into your well, you can update your browser to a newer browser, get a different browser in there, or a newer version, whatever. The version I'm running with is the current version for my OS. If I download my OS and the current, up-to-date released version of the OS, that's the browser version that they have in there. It doesn't run Twitch, So it's not like I'm running a 10-year-old browser or something, So anyway, so that was one thing. The other problem I had with Twitch, when I first signed up, I just gave him my email address, I just gave him my email address and signed up, and there I was, and I was watching stuff. And there was a particular streamer that was out there that I like to watch, that had verified only in chat. There's a feature on Twitch where streamers can indicate that they only want people to be able to post stuff in their chat that are verified. And verified on Twitch means not just an email, but also phone verify, So, and you can set that. So as a streamer, you can say, I don't want anybody in my chat who is not phone verified. And I think I tried to set up phone, and I said, okay, phone verified. Okay, I'll do that. And I did it. And here, I'm in the middle. I'm rural New Hampshire here. We don't have cell service here. At my house, I don't have cell service. This is the United States, right? We're third world, so we don't have cell service a lot of places in the United States. We don't have a lot of stuff, and we're pretty backward at this point. We used to be one of, the top on everything. Now we're, third world and a lot of stuff. And cell service is one of those things. So I don't have cell service here, and I didn't even have a phone. For a long time, I didn't even bother getting a cell phone. I don't have any friends, so I don't have anybody to call anyway. I don't have cell service, so what do I need a cell phone for? But they're phone verification. So I said, okay, I'll use my landline, right? So I did the phone verification, but it turns out, no, they won't even do phone verification on landline. I can't say, okay, here's my phone number. Go ahead and verify it. Have your machine call me, and I'll answer and type in whatever code or whatever. To verify that, yeah, that's my phone number. They don't have that. They don't do that. No, it's got to be a mobile phone. And I didn't have a mobile phone for a long time, so for a long time I couldn't even post in chat on any streamer that had that thing that required phone verification, because I couldn't do phone verification. Because I don't have cell service here, and I didn't have a phone. And I actually complained. I went to Dan Clancy. He streams once in a while, and he was doing for a while there. He was doing, talk to the CEO or whatever, and I actually did that on one of his streams, and I typed in. I said, hey, I got this problem where I can't verify my account because I don't have cell service, and apparently that was, I don't know, I forget what his response was, but and also I couldn't get this right. I couldn't verify my account, and Twitch has a regular thing, right? About once a month, they will come up with a. They stream out like here's Twitch tech support stream. Type in chat what your problem is, and we'll talk about it. Right? That's the Twitch tech support stream. They do that, right? And so they would. But I went to that stream. Guess what? You gotta be phone verified to type into the chat on the tech support stream. So I couldn't do that. I couldn't get tech support on the. I couldn't go to the tech support stream and ask them, how do I verify my account if I don't have cell service, because they required that you be phone verified to do it. So I was stuck. It was just so goddamn frustrating. And somewhere in Twitch there is a feedback forum or something, and I actually found it once. But damned if I can find a link anywhere on how to get to that again. I have no, there's a help thing. You can say help, which is the worst, one of the worst I've seen. You go to the menu, right? You say help, and it says, "Hi, we can help you. Type in your what your problem is." And I type it in, and it just gives completely unrelated. I mean, whatever you type in there, it gives you, okay, thank you for letting us know what you need help with. Here, we're going to tell you about some bullshit thing that, is completely unrelated and was only applicable 3 years ago. And, it is the worst help system I've seen. Almost the worst. Anyway, so anyway, I finally got a phone, and if I drive a mile down the road, I can get cell service, and I figured out how to get my phone verified, and I say, okay, verify it, and they say, okay, we sent you a message, and so I get in the car, drive a mile down the road, get cell service, get their secret code that they mail me, that they message me with, drive back home, type in the secret code, and they say, great, you're verified now, and and when I did that, I thought, okay, this is. And they said and one of the things they said when I did that, when I set that up, was they said, we will only ask you once. You only need to use your phone once to get it verified, and that's it. Some things you get, some places you got to use your phone all the time to log in or whatever. They said, okay, you verify your phone. Once you're verified, that's it. You don't have to use your phone again. I thought, okay, that's worth it. It's a pain in the ass to drive a mile down the road to get cell service. But if I only have to do it once, I'll do it. And I did that, and I got verified, and I was able to chat. Type into chat on my favorite streamers that had the verified phone and blah 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 blah. Okay, so I did that. Turns out that statement that you only need to use your phone once, that's not true. That isn't true. They said that, but that's not true. because I eventually got to affiliate, right? After streaming a little bit, a couple months ago, I got to affiliate. I got to the point where I was affiliate, and in the process of going through affiliate, first they said, okay, we got to log you out on all the devices for security reasons when we get you into the affiliate. Okay, great. All right, I'll have to log in again. I'll have to get my password again. No problem. But also what they do is they automatically set up two-factor authentication. And there's no way to get out of it. If you get affiliate, you have to have two-factor authentication. And there's no way to shut it off. So the only way to log in to the website now, after I got affiliate, was to first log in, and then they say, okay, we sent you a message, SMS message, to your phone with a little code. Please type the code in. Well, fuck, I don't have cell service. I can't look on my phone to get that code, you know? So I got to drive down. So after I set up my affiliate, I couldn't log into Twitch without driving fucking mile down the road to get cell service, to get this stupid goddamn number, and then drive back and type it into my computer, you know? What the fuck, you know? And there's no way to shut it off. There's no way to shut off two-factor authentication on the thing. Why? Why do you do that? Why, you know? You know? So, fortunately, I could tell my computers to keep me logged in, and as long as I didn't erase my cookies, you know, I didn't have to do that very often. I didn't have to drive down to log in. And it's just the stupidest goddamn thing. And, you know, what I suspect the reason why they do that is that it's just one billionaire helping another, right? You got a billionaire oligopoly cell phone, right? You got 3 cell providers or 2 cells or whatever, billionaire cell provider, and so Twitch is another billionaire run by Bezos, right? And it's just okay. You know, we've got this monopoly streaming service, and we're going to make you go do this other, you know, use this other monopoly service over there. So the billionaires are just, you know, washing each other's backs or whatever. So anyway, that's what I suspect is going on. I have no idea why they would do that. Why they would make it so goddamn hard to use their service, you know. So that was a problem. And then I found out, and after asking, I finally found an AI somewhere that told me, oh, if you sign up with this thing called Authy, Authy, then you don't have to do that. You don't have to get those messages all the time and stuff. And I thought, okay, but then I remember reading somewhere there was a message somewhere in Twitch's, you know, blog or whatever, where it said, we're discontinuing the Authy desktop app now. We're not going to use that anymore. I thought, okay, well, all right, so they're not using Authy anymore. That's what I thought, right? They're not using Authy anymore because they had this blog post that said we're not going to use the Authy app anymore. So all these other messages that I was getting from the AIs saying that I could use Authy, I thought, okay, that's outdated information or whatever, because here's this blog post on Twitch that says they're not going to use the Authy app anymore. And so I said, all right, that's not going to work. So I didn't pursue that for a long time. Then I found out, and I went to, what did I do? Oh, I went to the Authy. I finally said, okay, we'll try this. I went to the Authy website. They said, yeah, we're their information said, yeah, we're set up to work with Twitch. So I said, what's going on? Why is that? And then I finally figured out that blog post was unclear. When you read the thing, it sounds exactly like they're saying we're no longer using Authy. That's how it reads, to a casual user. But if you read it very carefully, it says we're no longer using the desktop app for Authy. Nowhere else in that post did it say, "Oh, we're still using the mobile. We're just stopping the desktop." So, which was still a problem for me because I thought, if I still have to use the mobile, that's still a problem. I still need cell service. But then I found out, okay, it works without cell service, and then I'm really confused. Okay, how is that going to work? How could they send this code to my mobile device if I don't have cell service, for me to log in, right? So you're logging in, right? You log into Twitch. Twitch says, okay, we sent this code to your mobile phone. Look it up, type it in here at the website, and you're logged on. How do they do that? How do they send that code? But the way Authy works is it's not. They don't send it anything. There is no communication between the two. They pre-share a key at the beginning when you set it up, and then they generate a hash from the time. They look at the time. They look at this pre-shared key, maybe some salt, and they do a hash, and they make up a code. That's kind of confusing for people who don't understand the stuff, but anyway, it works without having the cell service. Okay, by using time, the time-based thing, and every 30 seconds, this Authy app will make a new code, and so, as it turns out, I can do it. I can log on without having cell service now. But that whole process, first of all, just trying to figure it out that was even available, or how it worked or anything. Nothing, zero, nothing explained that. The best, I'll tell you, the best support that I had in this whole process was from the Authy website. The Authy, their technical support was the best. And it wasn't human. It was AI, but it was exactly, every time I asked a question, it told me exactly the answer that I wanted and needed, and explained it clearly and everything. So kudos to Authy. I'm complaining about all this stuff, but Authy, you guys did it right. Whoever's responsible for that, give him a raise, make him a VP, because they did it right. So anyway, I got it set up, and but that whole process is so freaking agonizing. And once I figured out the process to do it, and that it was possible and it would work and blah blah blah, then I did it, right? I did the process, and first you set it up on Twitch, then you go to Authy. I had to drive, of course. I had to drive to set it up. I had to have self-service. Installed the Authy app, and then after I installed the Authy app, then I set it up with Twitch, and it started generating these codes, right? 7-digit code, over and over and over and over. Great. Okay, I'm all set up. So I came back to home, tried to log on to Twitch, logged on. It said, okay, great. Now enter the 6-digit code. And so I typed in and I entered the code. It said, no, bad code. And I looked and I said, wait a second. The code that the Authy app is generating is a 7-digit code. the prompt from Twitch wants a 6-digit code. Why? Why is that? So I went to Authy and asked the Authy AI tech support person, and I said, why is this? It's generating 7. Twitch wants 6. Why is it doing that? And the Authy AI said, oh yeah, you gotta just add it again, do it again, and use the QR code this time to do it. Which is, anyway, it was just, and this whole thing, all of this shit, and by the way, this whole process. And this is no exaggeration. No fewer than a dozen different passwords, passphrases, keys, back and forth. Every goddamn step of the way, I had to do a key, a code, over and 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 over. And this is no exaggeration. At least a dozen of these codes and keys and bullshit that I had to type in over and over and over again, plus a whole spattering of captchas. When I'm trying to work on this thing, and all of a sudden, please identify all the motorcycles, or pictures or bridges or whatever. It says, fuck you, man, God. And this whole process, the entire thing was completely unnecessary. Absolutely, positively zero unnecessary to do any of this bullshit. I got a password. I know how to make a secure password. I know how to keep my password secure, I'm not an infant, We're not infants. You don't have to do this 2-factor bullshit. It's just, what's your username? What's your password? Okay, good. You're you. It's just incredible. Why do that to your customers? It's just absolutely ridiculous. If you wanted to make it a little bit more secure, fine, okay. It's a freaking streaming service, right? You got pictures of the person who's doing it. All right. What's your password? Type in your password. Okay. Look at the camera. Smile. Yeah, that's you. Okay. Why make it so freaking hard? I don't know. Okay, so that's my tech support horror story with Twitch. And this isn't this isn't like I'm the only person who's having this trouble, right? I'm I listen to other streamers, and stuff, and somebody who I was watching Infozar, I think it was, who does a whole bunch of, he's got a really cool stream. Yeah, everybody go see Infozar. Oh, let me do a shout out for Infozar here, because I'm gonna talk about what he said. Let's see, shout out. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this right. Info. Oh boy. Is that right? Let me see if that does it. No, that didn't work. All right, let me find it. I want to give him a shout out, so. This will take a second here. But anyway, he uses a whole bunch of programmatic overlays and alerts and sounds and all the stuff that's all programmed into the thing. He's just has the skill to do that, and and so he's got his channel very very linked into the API on Twitch, to do all this fancy stuff. And apparently Twitch just, without warning, again, apparently changed their entire API thing without telling anybody, and it broke all his stuff. So he was having trouble with it, and it's like there's just a whole series of stuff these last few weeks of people just having just horrible tech troubles with Twitch, So I don't know what's going on there. Something is really screwed up. Or maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe I just happened to. Well, I mean, something is screwed up, right? My horror story should not have happened, right? That should not have happened at all. Where the heck is this now? All right, let me do a. Okay, see. Okay, I see what I did wrong here. All right. There we go. All right, so yeah, everybody follow InfoSar. He's got a really cool stream. Does all this fancy stuff with the overlays and the alerts and the sounds and it's all programmatic, and it's just he's really got it down to a science there. He really's got it figured out. So, but it broke. It's at least part of his stuff broke because of what Twitch did, which is no good. Oh, I picked up another follower here. Thank you for following. I don't have alerts set up on mine, but somebody just followed me here while I was streaming here. So thank you. Let's see. Let me. 12 minutes ago, Hufferduster 420. Huffer20. That's cool. That's a cool username. Hufferduster 420. Thank you for the follow, guy or gal. Guy. Yeah, guy is neutral, gender neutral now, so I can say guy, right? Let's see. I haven't really been checking my chat, but I think I've only had spammers here in my chat. So, all right. So that's my Twitch horror story here. Let me make sure I'm still in sync because I was kind of messing things up here. It's pretty close, I guess. I don't know. Audio might be off a little bit here on my stream. This is for those of you just joining. This is almost a test stream for me here. I did it's been a while since I streamed, so I'm kind of getting my streaming legs back here. It's been a few weeks. So that was that, and that logon thing, that whole thing was just a big nightmare, and I just don't understand, what are they thinking when they're doing this, why, why put your customers through all that BS, maybe there's one, I don't know. It's been like this forever, right? It's just ever since the first personal computer was sold. It's been like this, They just do stuff and just don't pay attention to the customer. My background is in tech. I was on the tech support side. I was taking phone calls from people and helping them stuff. 50 years ago or 40 years ago or whenever, and. So I understand, I understand how it is, and I understand, how you can mess things up for customers, and it's just don't understand it, Who knows why they do those things? Maybe, they think they can make more money that way. I don't know. Just doesn't make any sense why companies do that. And then and then like the tech support setups, a lot of times are very, you get on a phone, you sit on a phone for a half hour, then you get somebody and they transfer you and blah blah. It's like, God, why do that? Why, you know? And you think about it, and then you try to think, okay, what is the political situation in that company or the management situation or whatever that creates that horrible situation, right? For customers, and there's, they're being driven by money, right? They want to make money somehow, and you know they say, oh well, this will be a little bit of an inconvenience for a customer, but look at all this extra money we'll make, or look at all this, but whatever. And then the tech support people, it's like, God, if we automate this thing and make it very simple for the customer to get the answer they want, then we won't need all these support people. We'll fire all these people. We don't want that. I mean, the management would want that, but the middle management or whoever's making the decision in the tech, setting up the tech thing. And I'm saying this specifically for Twitch. I don't know. I have no idea what Twitch's situation is. I'm speaking generally now. Okay, generally this is how how I'm imagining what's going on politically in these companies to get that result in these horrible situations for the customers. So it's just unbelievable how this stuff, and there's a lot of stuff like that. It's like drunk driving, right? That's another one. They don't want to get rid of drunk driving because there's so many people make so much money on that. They don't even care that the drunk driver is actually going to kill people, right? Driving drunk. It would be so easy to get rid of drunk driving, right? We could completely eliminate that. You could just, require bars to have a driving service on call all the time, right there for the customers for free. Require that, or whatever. And that would fix the problem, but they don't want to fix it, or better yet, just stop people from drinking, right? That's but there are too many people who make money on that. Somebody's driving drunk, then the cop pulls them over, and okay, so that's money for the cop, right? They justify their job, then they arrest them, and they book them, and then there's the lawyer. The lawyer gets a bunch of money from it, and then the courts, I imagine, getting court fees or whatever, and then they require them to go through some rehabilitation thing, and so there's some detox center or something that's going to make a bunch of money. You know what I'm saying? There's just so many people who are making so much money in this thing. Because of drunk drivers, right? Meanwhile, drunk drivers out there killing people. They're literally, killing people. They're crashing, killing themselves, killing people, and all this stuff. But because there's all these people who can make a little bit of money from that situation, then they don't stop it. They don't fix the problem. And it's like that over and over and over again. Tobacco used to be that way for years and years and years. They had this whole system set up where they would get kids addicted to tobacco when they were in high school or whatever, and then they'd be addicted to tobacco, and they'd die when they're 50 from whatever, heart attack or whatever, lung cancer. It was like that for years and years and years, because the tobacco companies made money, and and the hospitals made money from the people being sick, and they finally fixed that kind of halfway, but now they're using vape instead. you know. And COVID, another one. COVID, right? COVID. We just had a man-made disaster here from COVID in the U.S. I'm talking U.S. here. I don't know. I don't know if maybe there's some functional countries out there, but U.S. is not functional. Same thing. We had a huge pandemic, right? We had months warning that this pandemic was coming, and throughout the entire pandemic, they made decisions continually. They made decisions that they knew would make the pandemic worse, but they made them anyway. And the result was over a million Americans died. No other country did that. No other country had 1 million of their population died from COVID, only in the U.S. And the reason, I think, is because there was just money to be made. They could make money off of it. They could, the drug companies could make money. The hospitals, the whole medical thing. Medical device makers, people who make the tests. All this stuff. There's just a whole bunch of money to be made. The politicians got more power. And they killed 1 million people just for that, I just don't understand. Anyway, this stream's kind of taking a dark turn here. It's supposed to be just a rant, but so all right, this is going to be a test stream anyway. How long have I been out here? Longer than a test stream. All right. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to do actually. Because I kind of left it hanging a couple streams ago. Remember, I set up my website. Let me show people that if you haven't seen my website. Let me see if I can get that up here. Is that working? There we go. There's my website. Isn't that cool? And it so a few streams ago I did this. I did it on stream. I made the website on a stream. On a stream. I think maybe it took me a couple streams. I forget. I think I did. I basically did it in one stream, and then I just had to toot it up a little bit. But it has all my videos on there, and I can just what's on your mind? Tell me what's on your mind. Let's see if that plays here. Okay.
Every single day.
Remedy. By which? No, they haven't attacked the U.S. I don't know. So yeah. So I got a website, but there was a problem with it as I was developing it, and I was really tired. I remember now. Yeah, I remember what it was. I set up the website, and I was really tired, and something bombed out. It was set up so that I had the way I did it is I had an AI. The AI wrote a program, and the program, when you run the program, would write the website. And there's a reason why I did it that way, but that's how it was set up. And when I ran the program, it bombed out. It kept bombing out, and I didn't know why. And I was so tired, and I just ended the stream. I went to bed for a day. And anyway, when I woke up, it was very easy to fix. It was the easy thing to fix. But I wanted to show people what the problem was, because that was something I kind of left hanging. So let me see if I can do that here. All right. All right. First, let me just show you the code. All right. We don't need that anymore, right? I don't think I need that right now. So I think I can shut that off. Did that kill my stream? No. Okay. Good. No, that's not it. There we go. Mouse pad. Okay. There. Okay. So this is the this is the this is the code, right? For the it was written in what was it? It's written in Bash. the code. Here, let me put my mug over here so you can see me here. There's the code. Okay, so that so I told the AI to write me a little Bash script that would generate my website, and it had problems in it, but it ran, kind of halfway. And then I went in there and I made some changes to it that I thought were improvements. But one of the changes that I made actually introduced a new bug in the thing. In here, this is the code this right here is the code that the AI wrote. And what it does is it goes out. It uses this little utility called FFprobe that looks at a video and figures out how long the video is. And when it does this FFprobe, it returns how many seconds long the video is, which means that then the program has to figure out how many minutes and seconds and hours and all that just from the seconds, which is all this code here, which uses modulos and blah blah blah, a lot of stuff, right? And I thought, well, why does it do that? There's got to be, And I looked up the FFF, this little utility. It turns out, yeah, this little utility can return the sexagesimal hours, minutes, seconds. It's like, great, okay, so I changed it, and I changed it so it would use this sexagesimal way of getting the length of the video. So I do this call, and then duration comes out, and duration is hours, minutes, seconds, with a colon in between each time, which is a lot better. But then it turned out that I still needed to know what the seconds were. I needed to know what the overall seconds were, and I also needed to know in some situations what the hours and minutes were. So I had to put in a little code anyway. But this code was a little bit easier. It was just using parameter functions here and using positional parameters to figure out what the minutes and hours and seconds were from that hours, minutes, and seconds string. So anyway, that was the thing. But it made a problem. It got an error. It came up with, after I made my change to it and did all that stuff, it came up with this error that said, I can't remember what it said. It said, symbol too large for base or something like that, which didn't make any sense to me. Base to me meant, I thought number base, like base 10, base 2, right, for binary, or hex, base 16, whatever, And it didn't make sense because I was just using decimal. and but it turned out it was a bass problem. And so let me explain to you how that comes out. This is if you're not into programming, you're probably not going to watch this. So, but I just thought it was very interesting for those of you who are into programming and are into this stuff. I wanted to kind of just explain this in detail. All right, so so that was the code. I showed you the code of the actual program. What I did is I took a little snippet of it, of that code, and let me bring that up. You see that? Did that work? All right. So this is a little snippet of the code in question that was giving me problems. Okay, so this looks pretty simple, right? The video length, right? The video length is going to be something like, I don't know, like this, right? Something like that, right? 2 hours, 24 minutes, 11 seconds, right? So that's the length of the video. And then this code here is going to separate all that out. These are bash. This is bash code. This whole thing is all done in bash. And this right here is a way to look at a variable. They call it parameter, is the general term for it in bash. And the $sign means that you're figuring out what the value of the variable is. The parentheses are optional usually, but in this case they're not. And then this is the variable. And then you do a colon, and then these two things, these two numbers here tell you where to find the number. The minus sign means work from the end of the variable. So go 5 characters from the end of the variable and give me the two characters at that position. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that puts you right here, and give me 2 characters. So that gives you minutes, right? So that's how that works there. See how that works? And the same with seconds, it's the same way. Go back up 2, 1, 2, and then give me 2 characters from there. That gives you seconds. And hours was just, now I used a string here. I probably should have used positional on this one too. Just to give me the first 2, but I didn't do it that way. So that's kind of inefficient the way I did that. I used a string matching here, that's inefficient way to do that, but it works. I'm not going to bother with it, changing it. So anyway, that's what it is. So this code right here, all these echoes in there are just for debugging. You don't need the echoes. So all this code here was just to take this string here and break it up, find out what the seconds were, what the minutes are, and what the hours are. That's what this is here. So, well, that should work. That should work just fine, right? Yeah, everything should be good. And then once I got those figured out, then I could figure out how many seconds it is. Multiply the hours times 3,600 seconds. Multiply the minutes times 60 seconds plus how many seconds. And then I would have a number that would tell me the duration in seconds, because apparently that was needed at some point in the code. So that should run, right? What's the problem, right? That should work. And it did work. Most of the time it worked. But let me see if I can demonstrate this actually. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna modify this. Let's see, is this how you do this? Do I need a double or a single here? I forget now. Let's see. 0 to 59. Let me do. I'm going to do a loop here and see what this. What I'm doing is I'm doing a loop, and I'm going to try all different combinations here. There are a lot of, put it into a loop so I can try different combinations to see where it breaks, right? So video length is going to be is this what I want to do? Yeah. Video. So what I'll do is I'll set video length to video length plus whatever, plus the second. See what I'm doing? So I'm just saying, okay, we've got hours, minutes, just to test this thing, right? I've got hours and minutes. Then I'm going to tack on seconds on the end of it. It'll make more sense once I type it in here. Oh, I know that. Okay. I think that will do it. So it'll just basically count from 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 0 seconds, all the way up to 59 seconds. And then it'll run this code each time, I think. Now, let me save that off. Then, let's see, I need a terminal here. Okay. All right, and we want to show you my terminal. And what I'm going to do, whoops, sorry about that. I got to make a change to my OBS so I can show you you guys this stuff. So this will take a second here while I add a window to my OBS. I think that did it. Oh. Did I say this was a test stream? Did I mention that? All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Does that show up now? All right, that shows up. Okay, I should make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, you can see that, right? Okay, good. All right, so let me run my program here. So I think I saved it out. What did I call it? Based. Okay. That's based. And let's see what it does here. No such file. Okay, yeah. There we go. Okay, so it ran the program. Hours, minutes, seconds. Line 18. What the hell? All right, so I ran the program and something screwed up here for some reason. All right, video length. Oh, okay, I see what I did. It only needs one of these. Can you see this here? Yeah, you can see that. It only needs one thing here. All right. Let's see if that fixes it. All right, that looks a little bit so it's figuring out 2 hours, minutes, 24 minutes, 0 seconds, length, duration in seconds is okay. Okay, then the next line is screwed up here. Length, duration in seconds. Seconds. Then it's looping. Okay, I know what the problem is. Yeah, see, it's tacking. It's adding the video length to the thing each time. All right, let's do this. Let's put this up here. All right, that'll be a little bit better. Let's see if that runs. So I'm looping through 0, 0 to 5, 9. X is going to be 0, 0 the first time through, 0, 1 the next time through, blah, blah, blah. Then we set this variable to this. Then we take that variable and tack on whatever X is to the end of it. And that should work. So let's try that again. Come over here. There we go. It ran. So it stepped through each time there. See what it was doing? Step time. This is the third time through. There's 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds. All those worked, and then all of a sudden it says value too great for base. Error token is 08. So this works. This works, right? This works. This didn't work. So you see that? You see that here? It got an error here. And the reason it got the error is because it thinks that 8 is too large for the base. So I'm base 10, right? Why should it do that? It turns out that in Bash, when you're doing arithmetic operations, if the number starts with a 0, it assumes that it's octal. And that's the way it is. And if you make it x0, then it thinks that it's or 0x, it thinks that it's hex. If it's just 0, it thinks it's octal. And if it's any other number, then it assumes it's decimal. So that's the mistake. So here when I'm referencing this and I'm saying this right here, this dollar sign, paren, that means do arithmetic. Do arithmetic to what this is. That's what that means. So it's doing arithmetic here. And it's taken hours, which is 02. Nope, which is just 2. And it says no problem. All right, we'll do that. And it's taken minutes, which is 24. Okay, no problem. 24 times 60. Then it's doing seconds. And when seconds gets to 08, it says, wait a second, 08, you can't have 08 because there is no octal 08. Octal only goes from 0 to 7. So that's the error that it was getting. It was kind of a weird, I can understand why I couldn't find that when I was sleep deprived. It was pretty easy to find out, when I was awake, but it's just a bizarre thing, that this works, this works, but when it's 08, then it doesn't. So that's what that was about. And the fix for it, and let me show you what the fix is for it, right? We got to do the fix. The way to specify a base specifically is to type in the base. So if I want base 6, I want base 10. The way you do it is you type in the base number and then a pound sign in the front of whatever number you're doing. So if you happen to have a number that's an 08 or an 09 or whatever, but you still want it to be base 10, then you type in 10 pound in front of it. So you do that on all of these. Then in this arithmetic operation here, each of those variables, whatever they evaluate to, will be treated as base 10 because I specifically say make it base 10. And now that should fix it. So I type that in there. And there you go. It ran through all of them, and it did them all. See that? It got past that error. I didn't get any errors. So that's what the problem was. And I left that hanging because I was too tired to try to troubleshoot it. But the next morning it was pretty easy to troubleshoot. But it's kind of a bizarre error, right? If you're not, it was telling me that the problem was it was a base, and I wasn't using it. In my mind, I didn't think I was using base octal. I was using decimal, but it thought I was using octal. So that's what that was about. Anyway, got my website working the next morning or afternoon. I forget when it was, but I got it working, and it's been working pretty good. I had a couple hiccups with it that were just minor things. I had a power failure and some other things, anyway, it's working. So, all right. So let me get out of my stuff here. Exit my terminal. Shut off my thing there. All right. So this was my trying to get back into streaming again and learn how to do the work OBS and all this again from scratch. But now I remembered it. It was muscle memory. It's not that hard. What else was there? My next streams. I guess I want to try to do more streams. I don't know. Get streaming again. I got to do IRL. Yeah, some news that's going on. We got some new crows, baby crows that came. So I got pictures of those. I'll show those maybe in another stream. We did some. I come up with some new concepts, I think. Let's see. One was a question. Is pi conscious? You know, the pi, the circumference divided by the diameter, pi, that runs on forever, kind of randomly. Is that conscious? Is pi conscious? And when I say that, people say, "What are you talking about? That makes no sense." Anyway, so I'm going to talk about that. I brought that up in. I thought about it a week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, and I brought it up in Ivan Neo's stream, I think it was. He was taking random questions or something. I typed it in and talked about it a little bit, but I want to get into that a little bit. Let me give Ivan a shout out here since I mentioned his name there. I think that's how you do his name, is it? Yeah, Ivan Neo. Yeah, so give Ivan Neo. He's got a pretty good stream. He talks about a lot of smart stuff. He's a smart guy. Talks about smart stuff. So I want to do a stream on that, or at least half a stream on whether or not pi is conscious. So I think that would be kind of fun. Another thing I brought up was unconscious brain. A while back, a couple weeks ago, I've been doing these introspective experiments where I try to communicate with my unconscious brain, and I do it when I'm sleeping usually, and then when I wake up, then I try to interpret what my unconscious brain is trying to tell my conscious brain, and vice versa. And this concept that I came up with is, most of what our brain does is unconscious. When we're talking, the movement of our mouth and our lips and all the muscles that we move and the words, when we're talking, we're just thinking about what we want to say, and the words just kind of come out, right? You don't have to think, oh, what's the next word? How am I going to pronounce it? What are all the phonemes in it? Blah blah blah. And it's all done unconsciously. And overwhelming majority of what our brain does is unconscious. We don't think about breathing. We don't think about all these different things, but it all happens unconsciously. And so I thought, well, I've been doing these experiments, right, where I try to communicate with my unconscious, and kind of successful, I think. I got some communication to try to get my unconscious brain to communicate with my conscious brain, try to figure out what my unconscious is doing. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I forget when it was, I woke up, and the message I got from my unconscious brain, normally it's a symbolic message, and I got to try to figure out what it's trying to say, And this time it was a verbal message, which was new. It had never done that before, and it was the message was it was calling me clerk. And that's my unconscious brain was calling me its clerk. I thought that's weird. Why would my unconscious brain call me clerk? And I was just thinking, and I thought, well, what if your unconscious brain, since your unconscious brain does most of the stuff, and your conscious is just this little sliver of stuff that kind of facilitates things. Maybe that's the model. Maybe the model is the unconscious brain is the thing that's in charge, right? That does everything. Because it is. I mean, most people when they make decisions, when they do stuff, it's all unconscious. And 99% of the time, what they think they're doing rationally is just backfilling into what their intuition or what their unconscious brain has decided already. So I thought, wow, that would be a good model, to say, okay, we are our unconscious brain. Our unconscious is the thing that's actually guiding us and doing everything and is in charge. And our consciousness is just a little clerk that does certain things for our unconscious brain. So I thought that would be a cool thing. And I brought that up in a stream. Shane did a thing this past weekend where he had a whole bunch of guests, streamed together guests. And one of them, Tommy, Tommy, I asked him a question. I asked him that question. I said, because he was kind of a specialist. He's a specialist in philosophy and philosophy of the mind and stuff like that. So I asked him that question. And his reaction made me think that, this might be a new thing. Maybe nobody has come up with this before. So I want to do a stream on that, explore, and talk about that a little bit more. If that might be a more appropriate model for the mind, rather than thinking, that our conscious is what our mind is what our brain is, and what our mind is. Instead, say our mind is our unconscious, and our conscious part is just a sliver, just one of the many functions that help our unconscious mind. I mean, it's a whole, right? It's all of the things, all of the parts of our mind is a whole thing. But in terms of, maybe the unconscious mind is the thing that is what we are, is who we are. We just don't know it. We just have this little conscious part of it. We don't really know that. And it could also be that our unconscious, what we think of as our unconscious mind, may actually, that unconscious mind may itself have a subjective consciousness that we're not aware of. So it's a lot of stuff. I want to talk about that too. That's another stream I want to do. Get into that a little bit more. So I got a lot of things I want to stream. So I'll try doing that. Let me before I go here. This is a public service announcement. Public service announcement. All right. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I mentioned it earlier in the stream. That's killed a whole bunch of people. And one of the ways that they could have prevented all of those deaths was just to have people for a short little time wear these N95 masks. N95 mask is a special kind of mask that has a special kind of fabric inside of it that will filter out the very, very tiny particles that the virus rides on. And if you wear this mask, you won't get COVID, basically. This is the most effective way that you can prevent infection and spread of COVID is to wear an N95 mask. So whenever you're in public, you need to wear an N95 mask. And by the way, we're still in the pandemic. 100 people a week, at least, die from COVID. And when you count, influenza and all the other diseases, this mask will stop. It's effective against COVID. It's effective against the flu. It's effective against measles. It's effective against RSV. Pretty much anything, any respiratory disease that you get through breathing in or through your nose or your mouth, this will stop, right? Because it filters it out. It's 95% efficient is the rating, but in practice they're higher than that. They're somewhere between 95 and 99% of the particles get filtered out. And for most diseases, that's enough to prevent you from getting infection. Anything that gets in beyond that, if it lives, your immune system can take care of, So anyway, so make sure you get an N95 mask. It has to say on it N95. Has to say N95. Has to say that it's approved by NIOSH, NIOSH. It has to have straps that go all the way around the back of your head. They got some of these masks that just have the little ear loops, like that. Those are not N95 masks, and they may not protect you as well as an N95 mask. So you need to wear one of these. You can get them. Some of them have an exhaust valve on them here to make it a little bit more comfortable when you're breathing with it. You don't really need it, and these are, they're supposed to be they call them disposable, but you can wear them over and over again. Doesn't matter. You can wear them as long as you don't damage them in any way, and as long as the strap's not broken or anything like that. As long as you can get a tight seal. The mask has to make a tight seal to your face so that no air gets in around the mask. All the air has to come through the filter, right? But as long as it's not so clogged up with stuff that you can't breathe through it, and as long as it's of course hygienic and it's not damaged or anything, you can use them again. You can use them over and over again. So make sure you wear your mask when you're in public, because otherwise you might be killing people. If you're young, maybe you won't get sick, but you get infected and then you spread it to your, to grandpa or something like me. So, all right, that's my public service announcement. All right, everybody. All right, so I'm going to try to stream a little bit more often here and talk about a whole bunch of interesting little tidbits. I'm doing some IRL stuff and talk about some of those new concepts I come up with about consciousness and pi and stuff like that. So, all right, everybody. All right, so let's see. How do I get out of this thing? How do I wrap this up here? Yeah, we're not gonna read anybody. All right. I think I just do this and I say bye, and then I click this thing here, and then it runs that. Okay, there we go. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.